And that mistake can cost you time, money, and even the new house. Most people think the closing starts when they sit down at the closing table to sign documents. It does not. The closing starts the moment you sign a contract. And the most important work occurs for weeks before the actual closing date. So if you're buying or selling real estate in the state of Connecticut, understanding what happens from the time the property goes under contract or you sign the contract to the time it closes can save you from major surprises. Because when something goes wrong, it's not happening at the closing table. It's something that was typically missed weeks earlier. And that mistake can cost you time, money, and even the new house. Hi, I'm attorney Kishore Kapoor, a residential real estate closing attorney here in the state of Connecticut. And every day I share real life stories from real closings, from real clients, so you can learn from them and hopefully have a stress-free and smooth closing. So let me tell you a few stories. So we had a client, everything was going well. We're working in behind the scenes, monitoring everything, went through the contract, reviewed it with them, moved on to inspection, went over inspection issues, got inspections resolved, pulled title, got the lender to approve the mortgage company did an appraisal, and we closed. Yes, that's a quick down and dirty process. Let me break it down for you a little bit more. So let's start with, if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the state of Connecticut and you want some guidance from contract to close, you're in the right place. Be sure to give our office a call. We'll help you through the process. So step one, after you find your dream home, is to put an offer in. It's just saying, this is how much we're going to buy it for. Here are the terms. We got a mortgage. Do we need an inspection? Are there any odd things we need to deal with, right? Well, your contract gets signed. It gets turned over to your real estate closing attorney. We'll quickly review it, highlight any deadlines you need to make, any deposits you need to make, anything that we need to be aware of. We've made a list so that we can keep on track and keep on top of it. So everybody is playing by the same rules and game planning, right? After we review it, you're going to go and do the home inspection, or simultaneously you're doing the same thing. The home inspection is your chance to go through with a professional home inspector that understands what they should be looking for to find structural issues, electrical issues, plumbing issues, right? Those are the three categories. Sometimes they're going to check well if you're on a well, septic. They're also going to check if you have radon and pests, right? It's up to you though. You don't have to test all those, but that's typically the standard. They're going to go through, they're going to give you a report, and they're going to go back to the seller and say, hey, there's this issue and that issue. I want $5,000. Or I want you to fix, there's a broken window in the bedroom. I want you to fix it. So we have an option to either fix the item or get a cash credit. Perfect. So we get through inspection. Your mortgage company and you are going through documents to make sure you're financially able to afford the mortgage. While that's going on, they're going to request from the attorney a title search. We're looking at the ownership. So let's start with what a title search is. It is a search of the public records, making sure that there's no liens, debts, or probate issues, or easements, right? Which is, an easement is a right for somebody else to use your property. We're looking to see what issues there are with the property so we can advise you of them. Sometimes it requires some curative work, which means I got to fix it. Or sometimes it just means I'm just alerting you that there's these things that are on the land records and you need to be aware of them. It's pretty straightforward. As you see from all of my videos though, there are tons of title issues. Most of them are unreleased mortgages. That's the most common. All right. While you're doing that, with your attorneys doing that, your lender and you are looking at your financials, your job, your credit score, how much money you have in your bank, things like that, right? They're going to say, okay, we think that you're qualified. We're going to give you a conditional commitment based on, and we're waiting for title and an appraisal. An appraisal is an independent person that goes out and evaluates your property that you're buying and tells you what the fair market value is. They do this by looking at what's sold recently in the area for similar houses. If the house doesn't appraise, let's say you're buying a $400,000 house and the house appraises at $350,000, we have a couple of different options. Option one, you could say to the seller, I'm not buying for more than $350. Either reduce the purchase price or I'm walking away, right? And those are two options, right? You could reduce the purchase price or you could walk away. Option three is you could say, okay, you know what? I really want this house. I'm willing to split the difference and we'll come up $25,000. Or you could say, I don't care. I'm going to buy it for $400. I really, really want this house. Or we can negotiate something else. So that opens the door to renegotiating the purchase price. After the appraisal, the lender is going to review the title, the appraisal, and say everything's good. We have a final clear to close. We're going to schedule the closing, right? The day before we schedule closing, your closing attorney, the lender, and the seller are all going to work together to come up with your cash to close. We're going to put all the numbers together, and unfortunately, it's typically the day before we close. At some point the day before we close, your attorney will reach out to you and say, hey, you need to bring $100,000 closing or $10,000 to closing. We'll tell you the number you need to bring, and we'll give you instructions on how to bring that. And then we'll schedule a closing date. You, me, sometimes a realtor, sometimes a mortgage broker, but typically it's you and me. We'll sit down and sign anywhere between 100 and 150 pages. It takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And it completely depends. We'll sit down and we'll review all the documents and tell you what makes most sense. You'll have either sent us a wire, bring us a check, and we'll go through things, right? I collect all the money, I send the money to the seller's attorney, and then I have permission from the seller to go get the deed recorded and release the keys to you. So if you're wondering when you get the keys come to you after the seller gets, or the seller's attorney gets their money. Now, after I record, we issue something called title insurance. Title insurance is an insurance policy that protects you and the mortgage company in the event there is a title issue. We need to issue that after we close because it's going to start date depend on the date we record the deed. So the date the deed gets recorded, forever after that, your title policy will be effective and cover you. Title policies protect you from issues of anyone claiming they have an ownership interest in the property, they are owed a debt, or that there's some sort of other title issue. Nice and straightforward, pretty easygoing. Here's things that you should be looking to do, right? Lessons you should learn. The contract is the starting date. If you really want to make an argument, really, the date you found the house is the starting date. Once we get the contract started, everybody runs from everywhere. In the contract, things you should be looking at to understand it, deadlines. You can read this yourself. You can ask your closing attorney to help you. We'll happily help you. But things to watch out for is the inspection periods, the mortgage periods, and any deposits that are required to be given, right? So if you're required to put down a $2,000 deposit when you make your offer, and then another $3,000 after the contract, after the inspection period, it's all listed in the contract. So you have a date where you need to provide these things. If you do not provide a deposit according to that schedule or miss any of those deadlines, you put your deposit in jeopardy. As always, having a good attorney in your corner is key. We're there to find and solve problems before they become emergencies. Right? I like to think of it as your closing attorney as Humpty Dumpty's. The kings that put Humpty Dumpty back together again, that's your closing attorney and your mortgage broker. Every day we solve a problem, we put you back on the wall, and Humpty Dumpty unfortunately falls off every day, and we fix him, put him back on the wall, falls off, fixed him. You get the point. That's the attorney's job. That's the mortgage broker's job. We're fixing problems on a daily basis. Your realtor is there to provide guidance and connect you with the right people to fix the appropriate problem. The most important part is watching videos like this because it helps you create a sense of preparation so that you can have a smooth and stress-free closing. There's weeks of work that goes behind the scenes to make the closing day easy. One of the places you can help yourself is watching some of the videos. And before you go, I have a great video that's coming up on screen. It covers another real estate closing issue that every buyer and seller should watch. And if you found this information useful, be sure to give us a follow or subscribe. I don't know what they call it, but follow us, subscribe to us. because every day I share real life stories, give closing tips, and practical advice that helps protect you from your next closing issue.